6 labors completed. 6 times Eurystheus failed to break the son of Zeus. Now, he will engage in a ruthless legendary clash with death itself. Subdue the unstoppable, rage-filled giant, the Cretan Bull. Tame the wild, flesh-eating mares hailing from the lands of Thrace. And stand tall against the formidable, elite Amazon warriors in battle. Driven beyond the known world, the son of Zeus prepares to conquer the impossible. The journey continues right now.
The mysteries of the gods and the fury of mortals. Subscribe to Ancient Voices of Myths. Your journey through the ages begins here.
The 7th labor sends Heracles to the legendary island of Crete. His mission, to pursue and subdue the Cretan Bull. The tale of this beast serves as a stern lesson to any who would attempt to outwit the gods. Poseidon, lord of the sea, dispatched a snow-white bull to King Minos, intended for a sacred rite, a sacrifice to Poseidon himself. Yielding to greed, Minos concealed the magnificent beast within his own herds, slaughtering an ordinary bull in its stead. Poseidon's retribution was swift and unsparing. He consumed the bull with a furious, unbridled rage. Picture a monstrous bull rampaging across the island, snorting clouds of steam, trampling crops, and shattering walls. The islanders are plunged into panic, and Crete stands on the brink of ruin. Heracles arrives on Crete alone. He is not merely tasked with defeating the monster. Eurystheus demands the bull be delivered alive. That means no weapons, nothing but bare hands, cunning, and iron resolve. Now comes the moment of truth. The beast catches sight of the hero. The earth trembles beneath its heavy hooves as a ton of living fury charges headlong at Heracles. Heracles does not flinch. At the absolute last instant, he sidesteps, digs his fingers into its horns, and brings the divine giant to a dead halt mid-charge. Sand sprays in all directions. The bull thrashes and roars, desperate to hurl the demigod off. But the grip of the son of Zeus is made of iron. Step by step, Heracles forces the monster's massive head to the earth. This was no mere wrestling match. It was an unmistakable display of who truly ruled this land. The bull breaks, subdued, tamed, and obedient. Then Heracles executes a brilliant stroke of genius, a masterclass tactical move. Remember, Heracles was required to deliver the bull alive to Mycenae. How do you sail back to Mycenae with a monster like that? Why bother searching for a massive ship when you've already tamed a giant beast? Heracles leaps onto the bull's back, takes hold of its horns like a rudder, and drives the beast straight into the open sea. Picture the scene: Heracles cleaving through the waves of the Aegean Sea, riding Poseidon's fiery bull. Absolute triumph at the mission's end. When this seafaring duo made landfall at Mycenae, Eurystheus caught one glimpse of the living giant and retreated in sheer panic into his bronze pythos. The king fled from his own shadow once again, while Heracles merely chuckled. Ahead lay the northern lands. Executing the 8th labor commanded by Eurystheus to bring back the wild mares of King Diomedes, Heracles sets his course for Thrace. His path leads through Thessaly, the realm of his longtime friend, King Admetus, a man of rare nobility and pure heart. Heracles anticipated a warm welcome, yet he arrived at this household's darkest hour. Fate had decreed an early death for Admetus, but Apollo, a devoted friend to the king, secured a condition from the fates. The king would survive if someone voluntarily gave their life in his place. When no one else stepped forward, his young queen, his loving wife, Alcestis, made the ultimate sacrifice. On the very day of Heracles' arrival, she drew her final breath. The palace was plunged into deep mourning. Yet Admetus displayed a sacred, boundlessly selfless hospitality. Unwilling to burden his friend with his grief, he swallowed his tears, greeted Heracles with a smile, and claimed they were mourning a stranger, an orphaned woman of the household. He ordered a lavish feast prepared for his guest and urged him to rest from his journey. Suspecting nothing, Heracles dined heartily, drank wine, and sang songs. But an old, faithful servant attending his cup could bear it no longer, and through tears revealed the truth to the hero. How can you rejoice when the mistress of this house, the noble Alcestis, gave her life for her husband? We are mourning our queen. The servant's words brought Heracles back to sobriety instantly. The cup froze in his hand. Heracles was struck with profound reverence for Admetus. To act in such a way, to place friendship and the sacred laws of hospitality above one's own grief, required a truly great spirit. Heracles rose to his full height, his eyes blazing with a fierce desire for heroic action. You welcomed me like a brother in the hour of your ruin, Admetus. Has death entered your home? Then I shall force death to retreat. Nightfall, an ancient tomb beyond the city walls. Heracles conceals himself within the shadows of marble and waits. Before long, the air turns ice cold. Through the nocturnal silence comes the heavy rustle of black wings. Descending upon the tomb is Thanatos, the god of death clad in a dark cloak, come to lead the soul of Alcestis down to the underworld. Any mortal would have collapsed in terror. But Heracles bursts from ambush like a hurricane. Without a sword, without a shield, he seizes the god of death with his bare hands. It was a clash for the ages. Heracles locked Thanatos in a crushing grip, broke his icy resistance, and held him in a titanic bear hug until the gasping god of death pleaded for mercy and swore an oath to restore Alcestis to life. Morning, a broken Admetus sits beside the extinguished hearth. In the doorway appears Heracles, leading a heavily veiled woman by the hand. Admetus, the hero smiles, care for her until I return. Forgive me, but my heart belongs only to my departed wife, the king replies. Heracles gently pulls back the veil. Before Admetus stands his Alcestis, alive, unharmed, her cheeks flushed with warm life. Heracles had accomplished the unthinkable. He proved that true friendship and valor can shatter even the laws of eternity and conquer death itself. Inspired by his triumph over death, Heracles reaches Thrace. Task 8, the Mares of Diomedes. Diomedes, ruler of Thrace, held the entire region in terror. In his stables, he kept monstrous horses trained to feed on human flesh, throwing captured strangers to them to be torn apart. Eurystheus commanded Heracles to steal the man-eating mares of King Diomedes and drive them back alive to Mycenae. Just as with the Cretan Bull and the Nemean lion, Eurystheus required a living trophy as undeniable proof of the deed. Thus, Heracles needed not simply to kill Diomedes or destroy the beasts, but to tame them, extract them from Thrace, and present them to the king in person. Heracles and a band of loyal companions act with decisive force. They breach the stable gates, shatter the chains, and drive the mares out into the open. When Diomedes leads his army in pursuit, Heracles turns to meet them in battle. In a brutal clash, Heracles cuts down Diomedes and feeds the tyrant to his own horses. Sated on their master's flesh, the man-eaters grow calm. Heracles easily harnesses them and leads them aboard his ship. The mares of Diomedes are delivered to Mycenae. Eurystheus, eyes wide with his usual terror, orders them set free. The liberated animals flee into the glades of the Lycaean mountains, where they finally find peace. The eighth labor is complete, a cruel tyrant brought to ruin, and Thrace at last breathes free. The ninth trial leads Heracles to the distant, wild shores of the Black Sea, the domain of the fearless warrior women. The impetus for this expedition was the whim of Princess Admetus, daughter of Eurystheus and priestess of Hera. She demanded the magical girdle of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. This was no ordinary ornament, but a sacred relic gifted to Hippolyta by Ares, the god of war, as a symbol of supreme martial prowess. Eurystheus rubbed his hands in glee. He felt certain the proud Amazons would meet the son of Zeus with a storm of poisoned arrows, ensuring Heracles would fall on foreign soil. Yet the hero knew how to conquer not only with a club, but with words. Heracles' ship drops anchor off the Mycenae. Waiting on the shore is a battle line of Amazons, clad in gleaming armor, drawn bows at the ready. Tension fills the air like a taut bowstring. But Heracles steps onto the sand unarmed, visor raised, projecting peaceful intent. Hippolyta herself steps forward to meet him. Fame of the son of Zeus's exploits has long preceded him. The queen knows of his honor, his strength, and his defense of the weak. Heracles speaks openly and honestly of his quest and the Mycenaean princess's whim. Hippolyta is struck by such candor. Standing before her is no savage conqueror, but a noble hero. In a gesture of respect and alliance, she willingly unclasps the prized belt of Ares and presents it to Heracles. No pointless bloodshed, a triumph of diplomacy and reason. Yet the goddess Hera could not tolerate such a peaceful outcome. Assuming the form of an Amazon, Hera rides through the camp, shouting, "The strangers are trying to abduct our queen!" An explosion of violence. The Amazons draw their swords and charge. Blades clash, dust fills the air, and a bloody slaughter ensues. In the chaos, the finest warrior women perish, and Hippolyta herself falls victim to the cruel divine provocation. With a heavy heart, Heracles fights off the assault, carves a path back to his ship, and saves his crew. He returns to Mycenae bearing the coveted trophy. Heracles had proven that he stood ready to offer peace, even to an adversary. But should battle prove unavoidable, his strength and spirit remained unmatched across the earth. 9 labors now stand completed. Heracles harnessed the raw power of the Cretan Bull, tamed the man-eating beasts of Thrace, built bridges with the formidable Amazons, and above all, accomplished the unthinkable, forcing death itself to retreat before the power of loyalty and friendship. With every step, the son of Zeus grows ever stronger, and his name echoes across the world as a beacon of hope and the unyielding human spirit. Ahead lie the 3 final trials: a voyage to the far west for the cattle of the giant Geryon, the quest for the enchanted garden of the Hesperides with the Titan Atlas, and the descent into the underworld of Hades itself. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the 4th magnificent chapter of this epic saga. Thank you for watching.